Hi everyone, my name is Miss Lisa and we are here today at the Fayette County Public Library with fun foods. Today I have a really unique dessert to show you today. It is simply a chocolate loaf. Now if you know me personally, you know I love chocolate. So when I was scrolling through recipes to use for this show, it caught my attention because who doesn't love chocolate? But this is actually a loaf of chocolate with a little shortbread and some Whoppers thrown in. It's really delicious. So what we need for this is a loaf pan because we're going to make a loaf today. And you're going to need some wax paper because we're going to put that in the pan. You need about a half a container of Whoppers, about a cup or so. You need a whole bag of chocolate chips, and you need some shortbread cookies. The recipe specifically called for this Walker's brand of shortbread cookies. You need 6 tablespoons of butter and 4 tablespoons of syrup. Mine happens to be butter pecan. It doesn't really matter. Maple syrup's probably better. Anyway, so what we need to do, first of all, is go ahead and turn the heat up. And we're going to melt the butter. Now, this has been at room temperature for a while, so it is quite soft. So, we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of those little teaspoons in there. I'm going to turn our heat up here so it melts pretty quickly. Alright, so we're going to melt our butter, and then we're going to put in the whole bag of chocolate chips. Now, if I was at home, I'd probably be eating some of these because you know how good chocolate chips are. So we're going to stick those in there with the butter. The whole bag, folks, the whole bag. Alright. So we're going to melt our butter with our chocolate chips. All right. Let it sit here just a minute to get hot. You also need the 4 tablespoons of syrup in with this mixture. So this is a 2 tablespoon container, so we'll do 2 tablespoons of syrup there and 2 more tablespoons of syrup. Alright, then I'll just set that aside because we don't need it anymore. Alright, so while our pan's getting hot, things are starting to melt. I'm going to go ahead and prepare my loaf pan. Okay, let's let that. So, we have our pan, just a regular bread loaf or meatloaf pan. And take some wax paper and line it. So there's my wax paper inside my loaf pan. And the first thing we need to do is take our shortbread cookies and line the bottom of our loaf pan with these cookies. Okay. I think 6 of them is what fits across the bottom. Okay. So that's our first step. We got to be prepared here once our chocolate melts. Now, as soon as this all melts together, we are going to add our Whoppers. Now, I didn't bring a measuring device today, so I am just going to dump in a bunch of the Whoppers in with our melted chocolate and butter and syrup. Okay, and remember when you're melting chocolate to continue to stir it, especially if you have it up on high, because you don't want it to be scorched. Burnt chocolate is no good. Alright, almost got it melted. The rest is pretty easy, folks. This is a very simple thing to make. Once it's all put together, it needs to be in the refrigerator 2 to 3 hours so that the chocolate can congeal and the whole chocolate loaf gets cold. Alright. What do you think? I think that's about done. I don't see any little chocolate chips floating around in there. I think they've all melted together. So we're going to turn our heat off. I'm going to grab my Whoppers. We're going to open them up. And we're just going to pour those Whoppers in there. Melted milk balls. All right, so we're going to stir that up. Cover up those milk balls. Now, you need to eyeball half of this mixture. Okay, so we're going to dump half of it over here on top of the shortbread. We want just enough to cover the shortbread and make a bottom layer. Okay. Okay, once we have that layer, we need to grab our shortbread cookies again and make a second layer. Oh, that one broke, but it's still just as yummy. We'll make a second layer in there. I need to open up my other container. Now, I did find these Walker shortbread at Walmart. I've also been told you can find them at Walgreens, which we don't have here in Connersville, but some of you may have a Walgreens nearby. All right, so I'm going to lay our 6 shortbread cookies here. I like to get them all nice in a row. And then we're going to use our remaining liquid, our remaining mixture of chocolate and milk balls. Cover that up. I'm trying to get out all that goodness here. This is a very, very rich chocolate loaf with shortbread in there. Who doesn't like shortbread? Shortbread cookies are just very, very delicious. Okay, now to top it all off, the recipe said to get some Nestle Crunch and break them into little bites and cover the top. So I've already put them in a food processor. These were little Nestle Crunch bars. I took 6 of the little miniature ones, and so we're just going to spread those across the top. So chocolate upon chocolate. Yummy, yummy. All right, and then that's all there is to it. You take this loaf, put it in the refrigerator, wait 2 to 3 hours, and take it out and slice it like a loaf. Now, I've made one, and this has been in the refrigerator for a while. So I'm going to just pull it out with the wax paper. Now, I only did 1 layer of shortbread on this loaf, but it will give you the idea. So we're going to peel back all of that wax paper. This loaf is going to be taller than this one. Okay, and Nestle's Crunch are falling off. That's a shame. You're going to need a pretty sharp knife to go through this loaf. You're going to crunch it down. And you're going to make slices of chocolatey goodness. Oh, look at that. So you've got I only had the 1 shortbread, but if you do both layers, you'd have another layer, and then you've got those molten milk balls in there. And you have these wonderful chocolate slices. What do you think, folks? This was a unique recipe, right? I don't know that any of you have ever heard about this before, but this has been a chocolate loaf. I hope you will join me again next week for another super fun food here at the Fayette County Public Library. See you then.